Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, Verse 1. Narada Uvacha Deva Deva Namastestu Uta Bhavana Purvaja Tad Vijanihi Yajnanam Atma Tattva Nidarshanam.
Translation. Sri Narad Muni asked Brahmaji, O chief among the demigods, O firstborn living entity, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Please tell me that transcendental knowledge which specifically directs one to the truth of the individual soul and the supersoul.
Text 2. Yat Rupam Yat Adhishthanam Yatha Shristam Idam Prabhu Yat Samstham Yat Pranam Yakcha Tat Tattvam Veda Tattvataha.
My dear Father, please describe factually the symptom of this manifest world. What is its background? How is it created? How is it conserved? And under whose control is all this being done?
Verse 3. Sarvam Yetad Bhavan Veda Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu Karamalakavat Vishwam Vijnanavasitam Tava.
My dear Father, all this is known to you scientifically because whatever was created in the past, whatever will be created in the future, and whatever is being created at present, as well as everything within the universe, is within your grip, just like a walnut.
Verse number 4. Yat Vijnano Yadadharo Yat Parastvam Jadatmakaha Eka Srajasi Bhutani Bhuter Evatma Mayaya.
My dear Father, what is the source of your knowledge? Under whose protection are you standing? And under whom are you working? What is your real position? Do you alone create all entities with material elements by your personal energy?
Verse number 5. Atman Bhavayase Tani Na Para Bhavayan Swayam Atma Shakti Avastyabhya Urnana Bir Ivaklamaha.
As the spider very easily creates the network of its cobweb and manifests its power of creation without being defeated by others, so also you yourself, by employment of your self sufficient energy, create without any other's help.
Verse number 6. Naham Veda Param Yasmin Na Param Na Samam Vibho Nama Rupa Guner Bhavyam Sada Sat Kinchit Anyata.
Whatever we can understand by the nomenclature, characteristic and features of a particular thing, superior, inferior, or equal, eternal, or temporary, is not created from any source other than that of your Lordship, though so great.
Verse number 6. Sabha, Sabhavan acharat ghoram yattapashusamahitaha tena khedasyenastvam parasankam cha yachasi.
Yet we are moved to wonder about the existence of someone more powerful than you when we think of your great austerities in perfect discipline, although your good self is so powerful in the matter of creation.
Verse number 8. Etan me prachata sarvam sarvagya chakaleshvara vijanihi yathaivedam aham buddhye nusasita.
My dear Father, you know everything, and you are the controller of all. Therefore, may all that I have inquired from you be kindly instructed to me so that I may be able to understand it as your student.
Verse number 6. Brahmovacha samyak karunikasjedam vatsate vichikitsitam yad aham chodita somya bhagavat virya darshane.
Lord Brahma said, my dear boy Narad, being merciful to all, including me, you have asked all these questions because I have been inspired to see into the prowess of the Almighty Personality of Godhead.
Verse number 10. Nandratam tavatak chapi yatha mam prabravisi boho avignaya param mata etavatvam yato hime.
Whatever you have spoken about me is not false, because unless and until one is aware of the personality of Godhead, who is the ultimate truth beyond me, one is sure to be illusioned by observing my powerful activities.
Verse number 11. Yena swarochisa vishwam rochitam rochayamyaham yatharkognir yatha somo yatharksha taraka.
I create after the Lord's creation by his personal effulgence known as the Brahma Jyoti. Just as when the sun manifests its fire, the moon, the firmament, the influential planets, and the twinkling star also manifest their brightness.
Verse number 12. Tasmai namo bhagavate vasudevaya dhimahi yanmayaya durchayaya mam vedanti jagat guru.
I offer my obeisances and meditate upon Lord Krishna Vasudev, the personality of Godhead, whose invincible potency influences them, the less intelligent class of men, to call me the supreme controller.
Verse number 13. Vilacchamanaya yasya sthatum ikshapate muya vimohita vikatante mamaham iti durtiya.
The illusory energy of the Lord cannot take precedence, being ashamed of her position, but those who are bewildered by her always talk nonsense, being absorbed in the thoughts of it is I and it is mine.
Verse number 14. Dravyam karma cha kalascha swabhavo jiva eva cha Vasudevat paro Brahman na chanyorthosti tattvataha.
The five elementary ingredients of creation, the interaction thereof set up by eternal time, and the intuition or nature of the individual living beings are all differentiated parts and parcel of the personality of Godhead, Vasudev, and in truth there is no other value in them.
Verse number 15. Narayana para Veda Devanarayanankaja Narayana para Loka Narayana Paramaka.
The Vedic literatures are made by and are meant for the Supreme Lord. The demigods are also meant for serving the Lord as parts of his body. The different planets are also meant for the sake of the Lord, and different sacrifices are performed just to please him.
Verse number 16. Narayana para yogo Narayana param tapa Narayana param jnanam Narayana paragati.
All different types of meditation or mysticism are means for realizing Narayan. All austerities are aimed at achieving Narayan. Culture of transcendental knowledge is for getting a glimpse of Narayan, and ultimately, salvation is entering the kingdom of Narayan.
Verse number 17. Tasyapi trastur isyasya kutasthasya khilatmana sarjam srajami sarstoham ikshayai vabichodita.
Inspired by him only, I discover what is already created by him, Narayan, under his vision as the all pervading Supersoul, and I also am created by him only.
Verse number 18. Sattvam rajastama iti nirgunasya gunastraya sthiti sarga nirodeshu gृहीता मायया vibho.
The Supreme Lord is pure, spiritual form, transcendental to all material qualities. Yet, for the sake of the creation of the material world and its maintenance and annihilation, he accepts through his external energy the material modes of nature called goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Verse number 19. Karya karana kartritve dravya jnana kriyashraya बध्नन्ति नित्यदा मुक्तम् मयीनं पुरुषं गुणा.
These three modes of material nature, being further manifested as matter, knowledge, and activities, put the eternally transcendental living entity under condition of cause and effect and make him responsible for each activities, for such activities.
Verse number 20. Sa esa bhagavat lingai tribir eter adokshaja swalakshita gatir brahman sarvesham mama jeshwara.
O Brahmana Narad, the superseer, the transcendental Lord, is beyond the perception of the material senses of living entities because of the above mentioned three modes of nature. But he is the controller of everyone, including me.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yeah, please forgive me for all the mistakes I have made. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna Mataji, welcome.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for engaging me. It's very nice recitation. And who are we to forgive for Mataji? You know, she's done so beautifully everything, and it's nice to be able to recite and at least hear Krishna's words, which are being spoken to us. So there is no need to apologize for any pronunciation. It's perfect as usual. So thank you. And then can I just say thank you to Mataji, Raslila Mataji. She's been engaging me as well. And I've been asked to speak from text 12 to 14. And I'll just go along with the usual. Mataji, I'm happy for you to put that on the screen if you prefer to have it. Yeah, a big round of applause to both the Matajis, as it says in chat. Very well done. And let's just move on to what Krishna is trying to tell us. What are we supposed to learn from these verses? And how are we going to apply that in our life? That is more important than just learning or just reciting and then just feeling like I've done this course, I've done that course, because in the end, it's the application, as you know, it's the practicality of everything that we do in life, yeah? Not just the theoretical part. So just to give you a little bit of a background, anyway, before I go any further, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, I'm sure you guys have already done it. And Snigdha Cheta Shupranetha Vagninam Charasputam Prabhupada Gata Prananayami Bhakti Charupadam. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai. So yeah, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. As you know, we are on chapter 5 of Canto 2. So Canto 2 is called Cosmic Manifestation. And in detail, it gives us there's two types of creation, primary creation and secondary creation, and how Lord Brahmaji is dealing with secondary creation. And when we come to this chapter, which is so beautifully called The Cause of All Causes, I wonder what it's referring to. As you all know, obviously it's going to be referring to Lord Krishna, because we know we are very lucky that Srila Prabhupada has introduced us to that topic, in which we know, we've all heard that verse, Ishwara Param Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadi Radhir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. And you know what? My Guru Maharaj always also recited this. If you hear Srila Prabhupada, you hear him speak so much about this verse. And surprisingly, when we go to chapter 5, text 12, which is what we're meant to be doing, in there, it actually also recites that one. It just says, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, as he has already offered the same respects to him in Brahma Samhita. So Brahmaji is offering that respect to Lord Krishna and stating and confirming that what is Brahmaji's actual position compared to the Lord. And he is clarifying that he is not the creator or the supreme personality like everybody else is thinking of him to be. In fact, so going, like we mentioned, this background starts from Narad Muni questioning. Narad Muni, as you know, was the youngest of Brahma's children. And he has seen his dad build everything, like, young children, and as a admirer of everyone admires their father, because we've seen them do things which are like, eye openers for all of us. And let alone Brahmaji, who is the actual creator, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, we have always heard about them. So what he's doing, all of that creation and sub-creation, and to Lord Narad, it seems like he is the supreme because he's creating so much. And he's had the conviction that because my dad is able to do this, that, the other, he's dealing with all of this, he must be the supreme controller. So then one time he sees his dad um, doing, it says in the ghor tapa. So once he does ghor tapa, like really austere and penances, and then he thinks to himself, hang on a minute, my dad is supreme. So that doubt comes into his mind. If my dad is supreme, who is he praying to? Who is he doing austerities or penances to please, so then so then Narada asks these questions to Lord Brahma and says, and then in text 9, when Mataji read, Lord Brahma is saying, and he's thanking Narad Muni to say, you know what, thank you so much for asking these questions, because when he is answering those, he's going to be again thinking like we all are now. We all being engaged by Mataji, who started this. So, the idea or the perseverance with which they are continuously just doing these chad things, like because of them, we are all able to talk about Krishna and spend our time wisely in doing something or the other relating to Krishna. So similarly, Lord Brahma is very pleased that and thanks Narad Muni for asking, because then he can clarify and correct Narada's false conviction that he has, that his dad is the bee's knees, his dad is the one who's creating everything, his dad is the Supreme Lord. And then Lord Brahma states, look, I am creating, but I am only recreating, which has already been created. So we know there is creation, then there is sub-creation. So there's primary creation, and then there is secondary creation. It's all there in details in cantos 2, 3, that when we read. And then Brahmaji explains to him that only people who are bewildered, and moving on to the next verse, in 13, he says, people who are bewildered by Maya think of me to be supreme. Now, we live in a world where everyone and anyone who actually praises someone, most people want to just say, oh, wow, that's great. Thank you so much. Or they appreciate it. And they honestly think they are the one who's deserving. And not to mention of Kali Yuga and a lot of people who are not deserving at all and still want to take the praise. But here, Brahmaji is different. He is stopping them from calling him God, because he's saying that credit only goes to the Supreme Lord, because he has already created, and then I am creating from it. So although some people who are bewildered, they may think I am the Lord, but I am not. It's actually him. And then he goes on to text 14 to explain that the question in 13, he mentions about the bewildering, the people who are bewildered, what kind of talk they do. And he mentions normally it's all about I, me, mine mentality. Those are the type of people who are bewildered by Maya, who do not know what they're doing, right? Because their entire life, their entire world, it's all about thinking about themselves. And then he points out, look, Maya Devi, she bewilders absolutely everyone, like the whole living beings, the whole the jiva is completely befooled or bamboozled, or you can say bewildered, yeah, by them. The word they use is vimoha, vimohita. And they also use the word called man aham. So me, my mentality, that the reason why that is happening is because it's because of Maya. And Maya is the identification, or the people who are affected by Maya. How can we identify them? Because they are bewildered and they actually talk like this: I, me, mine. And they say Maya, who has bewildered the whole world, yet she is ashamed to be confronting Krishna. She cannot even stand in front of Supreme Lord, because obviously she's always deceiving people. So even though she is so strong that the entire world is animated by her, and she represents nescience, which means like people who do not know anything, and yet she is so strong, the whole world goes around her because of her. She makes, but she is so ashamed that she's misleading all the living beings, so she can't even face Krishna. And whoever she's misleading, their primary symptoms are mentioned as they talk nonsense. Their nonsensical talks are not supported by any of the principles of Vedic literatures, but first grade, Srila Prabhupada uses that word, first grade nonsense talk. It is mine, it is I. Yeah. So that is the godless civilization, which is based on false idea, no Shastra, no Sadhutva, and that is obviously deluding energy. And that is also made by Krishna, because we all know there's three energies, like we are part of the marginals. There is Bahiranga, and there is internal and external, and then there is marginal one. So we as a jiva can then choose to either be part of bewildered lot, or because we are on the boundary, marginal, right? We can choose to be spiritual, we can choose to be uh, materialistic. So thank you, Mataji. I think that's then we're going to go to fourth verse. In that one, we'll go back to explanation a little bit later. But in the fourth verse, after they have Narad's been explained all of that, and when Lord Brahma is made it very clear that in Narad's mind, he's established that the Supreme Lord is higher and superior than Lord Brahma, then he chooses to answer Narad's question, because this whole chapter starts off, because Narad's going to be asking 6 questions in this chapter. So then he goes on to explain in text 14 about Yad Rupam, so the characteristics, the components or the characteristics of the universe. Now, incidentally, this is also called, the chapter is called Cosmic Manifestation, and then cause of all causes. And how is it all linking? This is what is explained in text 14, in which they say there is 5 components that make the characteristics of the
Haribol?
universe. Yeah, Haribol, carry on.
Sorry, my mistake.
Okay, sorry. So Mataji, you can take the text off if you like. That's done. So then they talk about 5 components that this universe is made up of. And then first one is jiva, right? Then kal, then karma, then swabhava, or the nature. And then you have something called dravya. Dravya is matter. Matter is what? Ingredients. Ingredients meaning earth, water, fire, ether, sky, all of that, air. So when you think about it, everything is coming from that, right? So for example, if you take, say you've made a house, you've gone out and bought some bricks, right? you've paid, you've gone to a tile place and bought some tiles. You've gone on and got some pipes and wires. Now, where is brick coming from? Ultimately, earth, right? Who's made earth? Earth, water, we just spoke about. What else is there in the house? Anything to do with metal? Where's that come from? That's from Krishna, right? Similarly, time, karma, nature, all of these things, that are the components of the cosmic, the universe, and characteristics of the Vasudev. So that's what Lord Brahma is explaining, that Jiva Tattva and Vishnu Tattva. So foolish people think that without involving God, they can actually get salvation, or I don't know what they're thinking. I'm not sure any of you guys know. Recently, there was a case, I think going back a few months or years, where one guy led nearly hundreds or 200 or 300 people into fasting in the name of some god that they believed in. I don't know whether it was to do with Christianity or something like that. It happened in one of the African countries. And in there, it turns out they've all ended up dying because they believed foolishly. Now, Srila Prabhupada's always given us three things to confirm everything. S's, like, so Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So when we have any thoughts, we can actually, if we are not sure about something, we've got huge amount of Shastra that dear Srila Prabhupada has actually transferred or translated and transcribed into various languages, made it so easy. He has got the rasa of all the scriptures and the compositions created by acharyas and given it to us in one. We don't even have to do too much research. All we need to do is read Srila Prabhupada's books and we'll know. So this foolish person who led them and then caused everyone's death, why does it say in Bhagavad Gita that you can carry on fasting until you die? So this is the reason why one should know their Shastra. This is the reason why we cannot allow the Maya to bewilder us, because if we do allow that, then guess what's going to happen? We'll only be following people who are all sorts of got no they are not they're not following any bona fide guru, like we've had good luck of actually coming across in our Krishna consciousness. The position and the control and everything else is not something that Srila Prabhupada was ever after. Srila Prabhupada was like breath of fresh air when he first went to US. They'd always heard of people saying, oh, I'm the God, because Srila Prabhupada never called himself God. In fact, I'm sure most of you have heard this, that Srila Prabhupada actually said people who actually call themselves God are actually not God, God, but DOG, dog, right? He always made it very clear that when people even asked him that, what shall we call you, Swamiji? Swamiji itself is a prestigious name. And what did he say? So humble. He said, Prabhupada. Prabhupada, feet of the Lord, servant of the Lord. And he has instilled in all of us that we shouldn't be thinking of ourselves as, or giving ourselves credit for anything, because if you think about it, everything we say, everything we do, everything that we are aware of, who has been the ultimate person who's granted that to us? You know, through Srila Prabhupada, through Guru Maharaj, through Srila Prabhupada, through Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, right? All of our knowledge, all of our everything that we think of is coming to us from Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. So for as an analogy, we can understand it like Lord Brahma is creating and procreating, making procreation and taking the whole role responsibility that Lord Krishna has given him. But he is playing the role of, say, for example, a gardener. So when you have a seed, look how Krishna is beautifully made. And again, Guru Maharaj used to talk so much about giving this example of how inconceivable is it that from a little seed, a whole banyan tree can come. From banyan tree, the fruits, flowers can come. And from fruits, these seeds get dispersed everywhere. And from the same seed, such a big tree can come. So Lord Brahma is like a gardener. He hasn't created the seed, but the seed is sown. He's nurturing them like as if a gardener would give water to the plants. So that is Lord Brahma's position. But people who are foolish, like these scientists who refuse to understand our creation and come up with some theory that everything it came together and all of a sudden in a big bang, the whole world was created. How is that possible, right? They are thinking like the example Srila Prabhupada give here is frog in the well. Now, frog has never been outside the well. How would he know how big the ocean is? Even if somebody was saying to him, oh, ocean is very big, he's only going to be thinking with his little mind of how big he feels the well is compared to his own thinking. So they can't even conceive all of these things. And there was another example when Srila Prabhupada, I think there's an example of mechanic that we heard, where Prabhupada we all know if the car stops working, what do? We take it to mechanic. So how is it that the car that we've been driving, we are owners of, we have paid or taken money and done PCP or bought it outright. We're driving it every single day, but when it's not working, we take it to the mechanic. Now, our eyes, when mechanic opens the bonnet, he looks at a few things, he can tell what's wrong with the car. Yet, the person like us who are driving it every single day, we're not able to tell what is wrong with him. Why? Because of the qualification. So qualification is very important, and qualification from a bona fide source is even more so important. So by reading Srila Prabhupada's books, we know, like, although there's Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, we know Rudra was like from Lord Brahma's forehead. In anger, Mahesh or the Shiva or the Rudra, they all born. We know the secondary creation has been done by Lord Brahma, but we know there is only Ishvara, Param, Krishna. This is what Lord Brahmaji has said to us. And it's there in Bhagavatam, it's there in Brahma Samhita. And then all the gods and demigods and everybody else are like part and parcels of Krishna. So recently when we were doing Bhakti Vaibhav, I think in Canto 5, there is an example that if you massage a person's leg, are you actually serving the person's leg? No. Ultimately, what are you doing? You're massaging a leg of a person because you want to please or massage. The actual service is going to that person who is the possessor of that leg. So similarly, all these gods, these demigods and Devi Devtas, they're all there. They ought to be respected because they are ultimately part and parcels of Krishna. And they are serving Krishna like Maya Devi is as well, to assist Krishna in his mission. But we need to pass a test. We need to make sure that when we think, oh, this is my house, I've got the mortgage, I've paid the mortgage. Hang on a minute. You may have paid for the bricks, but did you make the brick? You didn't. Where's bricks come from? Earth. Anything else that's here, it's Lord Krishna's ultimately. When you go into, if you layer by layer go down to it, no one owns water, no one owns nature, no one owns air. And this is why it's compared to like the sun god. Like here, Narad thinks like Lord Brahma. He was when he was comparing his dad, he was just thinking like spider. Spider doesn't need anything when he gets into his activity to create his jal or his web. He does it with his saliva. Out of nowhere else, he can just create like that. But our Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is like sun. Now, sun doesn't need any shining light on it for it to work. Sun, also called as Narayan, also called as Drishti, because there is light, that's why our eyes are able to see everything, because it's lit up. Because there is sun, we all know, we've studied a little bit in science, that the reflection is then used for stars and all the other things. But sun itself doesn't need anybody else. And that is the position of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And look how lucky we are that we have been brought into this fantastic movement of Krishna consciousness, in which we can learn everything ourselves rather than just be thinking all the time, oh, is it like this or is it like that? It's been clarified for us. And they have told us this momentarily happiness that we have got. In fact, there was another analogy in which it says our life compares to that of a material world, the happiness that we feel today, or thinking of, oh yeah, I'm very happy in this world, material world. It's like feeling as if a person who is caught in forest fire should feel happy. How is it? Nobody goes there to actually start the fire. And when the forest fire is ablaze, which is what it's compared to this whole material world, we shouldn't be happy because we don't know. Like happiness and distress is coming. So distress gets forced upon us like forest fires starts automatically. So by nature, by inherent nature, we are always going to be, distress is also going to be forced on us. But are we going to lose our brains? No. Are we going to stay sober? Yes. Why? Because we know who is the root cause, who is the cause of all causes. It's Lord Krishna that we're talking about today. So the people whose faith is strong, they do not try and reverse this. They just think to themselves as, okay, Lord Krishna is probably either giving me my past karma or burning my karma. So what if he's put this in my direction? I'm not going to accuse him of anything. I'm not going to get angry with him as to why did he put me through this. In fact, I would happily, because he is my master, I'm going to be surrendering to him. So whatever he says, I'm going to go along with it. Similarly, if we actually surrender to Lord Krishna, and Maya Devi, who can't even come in front of it, is always behind, she would have no control over us. And our life, irrespective of whether we have happiness or distress, but ultimate cause of our life and the ultimate goal, aim of our human life, the ultimate reason why we do penances, austerities in form of fasting, in form of 4 regulative principle, is to know ourselves that we are different from soul. This body is body, but at the same time, I have soul inside me, which is unaffected by, when I stay hungry one day, my soul is not affected when we do fasting to please Krishna, if we need to. But important thing is to surrender to Krishna. And let's all pray, wish, and we don't become like those people who are in continuous unhappiness in this world. And we don't want to end up like those people who, when they are, say, for example, somebody is being punished and they dipped into water and they submerge their head into the water. When the head comes out, for momentarily they're able to breathe, they're thinking, oh, this is happiness. We don't want to be thinking like that, because that's our position. We are being punished here because we wanted to load over the material world. We wanted to load over, didn't want to be with Krishna. But now that we know the real knowledge is, the real Father is the one that we should be going for. Everything else is just Maya tricking us. So we ought to all surrender and think of Krishna and be in his service. whether it's happiness or distress, so long we continue to serve him, one day or the other, with our Guru Maharaj's kripa, Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we will all get out of this cycle of birth, death, and disease and old age. So I'll finish here. My queue is only till 8:30. If you got any questions, then I can take them. Thank you so much for your audience. And I have my senior god sisters there. I know I saw Krishangi Mataji's phone, so my heartfelt Dandvat pranams to them. And yeah, if there's any questions, then please feel free to ask.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can I ask you a question, please?
Of course.
Yeah, it is about, when we're looking for answers, and you said Shastras, but Shastras are so wide, it's very difficult to find, and also we don't know where to look for because of our incompetency in the spiritual language or in the spiritual reading or any advancement spiritually. So the only thing we have got is maybe Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. So how to look for answers? Because sometimes we are really stuck in this material world. And we really need answers then.
Yeah. So depending on what answers you get, and I know you say we've only got Bhagavad Gita and we only got Srimad Bhagavatam, but we have the association of people, and everybody comes with their expertise. And I appreciate you can't open up to everyone. You only need, so for those reasons, we also have got, they have created, Srila Prabhupada is again, admirable in the sense that he's not just thought of giving initiation or giving his naam and just leaving it. He's actually created help for us as well. So if I don't understand something, what are my options? I can perhaps do detailed courses that are being given by School of Bhakti or, Mayapur Institute, study along with people who are like-minded. You can have a smaller group of people if you don't understand, like this one is now, that we can actually all get together and think about what is the problem and how we ought to be dealing with that problem. Ultimately, there is lots of options of help. Like I don't know about you, whether you heard or not, but ages ago when I was giving one of the classes in Manor, I was just saying that my only question was, as a Punjabi, I'd always worshipped and I'd seen my mom, dad worship Mata Rani, like Sheramwali Mata, that everybody believed in, Lord Shiva. I grew up knowing Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh to be the ultimate authorities. They were the gods to us. Krishna is Krishna, but we never thought like he was the supreme personality. Well, I didn't anyway. Why? Because at the time we were listening from pundits here, there, and everywhere. And then one time I got very lucky, and this is the most good fortune, when we actually come in contact of a devotee, all our questions get answered, because with their mercy, with their service, everything starts becoming very clear, because they signpost us to where we can go. So one time, a devotee came to my husband's, he used to be a grocers and grown graces, and he gave him a book. So my husband took the book, it was Bhagavad Gita as it is. And the devotee said to us, if you have any questions, I tell you, you can open this book and then you'll see that that would be answered by this book. And I thought to myself, what are the chances? But anyway, I used to work in a bank in those days. I had my lunch hour, so I made my toast and something, and then I thought, let me just read. And then I had that niggling fear and niggling question about how is it Krishna being superior when we know it's Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So I thought, okay, let me try their theory. Let me test their theory. So I opened the page without knowing anything. I didn't have a clue. I hadn't read Bhagavad Gita in those days, right? And the first verse that came in front was text, chapter 10, verse 8. Who's going to tell me what that verse is? It's 10.8. It's first one of Chatur Shloki. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. So those people who are intelligent, those people who know me and are intelligent, they know me to be the source of all the emanations, material or spiritual. And I thought to myself, how is that possible that Krishna knew what I was thinking? Because from that text, I got my answer. So I can't really say that, like I know you mentioned there are material problems, there's spiritual type of problems, there's all sorts of problems, and this world is all about problems. The solution is only threefold. You can either ask your guru, sadhu, shastra, or your association. Like these are the triangles. So if you don't like the answer, guru, sadhu, and shastra, that's what I said. So yeah, between one of them you will get the answer. And if you still don't get the answer, then you can write to a temple president, you can write to any of the other ones. There's so many Maharajs that you can actually email and ask the questions. So I would just say try Bhagavad Gita still, and in the purports we find the answer. That's my experience anyway.
All right. Yes, I've heard about looking into the Bhagavad Gita and open any page, and you can
Yes.
find the answer there. I've heard about this. Okay. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Very good. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Vrinda Vilasini Mataji. Please
Hare
accept
Krishna.
our obeisances. Will glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, thank you for wonderful class. It was really nice. No question, just commenting on. Thank you very much.
So I just said it, isn't it, in there that everything and anything we do, the basis is Srila Prabhupada's book. So if the class is nice, that means the credit still goes to Srila Prabhupada and the book, because obviously the material that we're talking about is coming from there. So I appreciate you're appreciating, but yeah, the real appreciation is obviously our Guru Maharaj. And look how exalted they were. Like our Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj would never take even the garland that was so beautifully made. I remember he said to us, no, I need to go offer it to Srila Prabhupada. Can you have it offered? Somebody, disciple had made it for Maharaj, because we only know Maharaj, right? He was object of our love, but his object of love is Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada's object of love is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Krishna. So like this, we are in a chain, and like Lord Brahma refused to accept any adulation and anything and people calling him God. But yeah, it's all thanks to Srila Prabhupada's mercy that he's given us books like that. So thank you for your appreciation.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I like that point when you said whatever comes in our life, we should accept it as a mercy of Lord and just keep on tolerating and keep on going with our sadhana.
As long as we are in devotional service, that's the important thing. I mean, look at how many examples we've seen. Look at Shruti Dharma Prabhu, perfect in every way. And what did Krishna do? Take his, we all know he had brain cancer, and you lose, but he still remembered Bhagavatam. He still remembered. Look at our god brother, my mentors as well, His Grace Radha Vinod Prabhuji. Everything's gone maybe, but he still can chant Krishna's name. He's not forgotten. So body doesn't stop us, because his soul is imbibed with all of Krishna's love and his name. That's what we got to. We don't know what's there in front of us, but eventually, eventually we all have to bear some sort or the other of problems, because we can't be here permanently in this body. So we need to then deal with it, as long as we can stay in devotional service no matter what comes, and that can only happen if we're going to stay on and around in association of devotees. Yeah.
Thanks.
We plan our tomorrow according to our today.
So Rajesh Krishna is saying we plan our today according, we plan our tomorrow according to today.
But Krishna plans our today according to our tomorrow.
But Krishna plans our today according to tomorrow. So he can foresee what's good for us, and he'll obviously give us that. Even if it's distress, so what? If we like someone, if we love somebody, then so be it, And like that verse in Shishtastakam, Padratan Panashtamam, yata tatha lampato mat prannath, like in which he's saying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that you are my prannath, whether you squish me tight or whether you reject me, whatever you choose to do, I'll always be your eternal servant, So, yeah. Anything else?
No, thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, as well. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, shall I finish off?
Can I just ask one question? Sorry.
Of course, of course. If there's
Please,
questions,
obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupaji. Thank you. Very beautiful class. We don't always get time to read because due to work commitments and you're so tired in the evening. So is it okay just to listen to lecture in the morning and evening? Or do you have to read?
Well, of course, it's okay to listen to lecture because what did Srila Prabhupada say to us? And what is he doing? He's just saying, these are not my words, these are Krishna's words. He's repeating Krishna's words, and we are then repeating, all the Maharajas are then doing Krishna's words. And then those lectures are what you're listening. They are all based on, all on Srila Prabhupada's lectures, the examples, everything comes exactly from Srila Prabhupada's, and it's still counted as Shravanam, Shravanam, Kirtanam,
Yeah.
Pad Sevanam. So there's like those 9 processes of bhakti, out of which Shravanam is one. But what I tend to do is, like you, I don't find much time, but I have taken up the idea of doing Bhagavad Bhakti Vaibhav so that I can understand, like it's like one Mataji said, it's so difficult to understand Shastra. So what I do is I've joined Bhakti Vaibhav, so they teach us detail by detail. Some of the brahmacharis, they are from Oxford, somebody's from UCL, they've all like either engineers, and so they are obviously very knowledgeable. And then
That's my video.
yeah.
That's my
And
picture.
then the other thing you can do is listen whilst you're driving. If you go to work, there is an app called BVL, Bhakti Vedanta Library, or Desire Tree. You can just systematically just put Srimad Bhagavatam or one of the books. There's so many, Ishu Upanishad, there's so many books. One book you start off with, Bhagavad Gita perhaps, and then listen to it while you're stuck in traffic. You don't have to listen to all the songs. You don't have to listen to any of those things. Whenever you can make time, listen to it in your car when you're stuck or you've got long drive, and then you'll see that slowly we get that taste. Then you would want to hear more about Srimad Bhagavatam, about Bhagavad Gita, and it becomes more clearer because you're listening as opposed to just sometimes reading. So there is no demarcation whether you read or you hear. So long the content is exactly the same, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. I've been listening to Prabhupada Vani, and there's lots of like Bhagavad Gita lectures and Srimad Bhagavatam. So I just felt guilty that I don't always have much time towards reading. So that's fine. I'll just carry on listening. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
There's a question on the chat, like they can't unmute for some reason.
Okay, let me see. Well, I'm not the controller. I think Rasalila Mataji, is it her name?
Yes, Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, let me check. Hare Krishna Jyoti Mataji, is it possible if you can check for me, please?
Yes, Mataji, but who is it? Chandu Rajani. Okay, I'll have to
Yes.
find the name. Just give me a moment.
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji.
Oh, this is Chaitanya Prabhu. He's an exalted devotee.
Mataji, no question. Prabhuji was just saying that he cannot unmute.
So they're asking for unmute, help in unmute. Plus.
Prabhuji, can you unmute yourself now? I haven't muted anyone. I don't know. The settings not working.
Yeah, Prabhuji is still saying, Jyoti Mataji, it's not working.
Okay. Well, I can only apologize. And I know I've worked.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam, Santosh Prabhat. If I can just add a little bit to your wonderful class, Mataji.
Yeah, 1 second. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Yes, so the question was about reading and listening. Yes, lectures are equally important. However, Prabhupada said very firmly that the books are the basis of our
Yes.
understanding. And he poured sweat and blood behind every purport and every canto of every sastra is translated.
That's
and
right.
He said
Absolutely
that
correct.
systematic study of his books are the only way for us to progress in our spiritual life in a proper and wholesome manner. So yes, we should do all the listening and everything else, but we should also make somehow or another the time to systematically study Srila Prabhupada's books as well, in verse by verse, purport by purport. I think we have a tendency to try and take shortcuts wherever we can, but this was his firm instructions. Books are the basis, and systematic study of the books is important. Thank you very much for a wonderful class.
Beautiful, beautiful confirmation, Prabhuji. And yes, Srila Prabhupada's always said that, and it's his instructions, which is what we got to follow. However, until you get to that point where you're not able to get yourself into Shastra too much, if you are still listening to lectures, that's starting point. Bit like how we start off with 1 round, 2 rounds, and then we progress to 16, and then people even go to 64. So starting point is good, but I also mentioned whether you are actually listening or you reading Srimad Bhagavatam or any of the books, then eventually it should be that you ought to be either listening the book or reading the book. But either way, just being in close association of Srila Prabhupada through his books and his devotees and his system. So one way or the other, you'll get the correct teaching still But ideally, like Prabhuji said, this is Srila Prabhupada's instruction. We should all be reading it, and that should be prioritized. But if you don't have time to read, then just listen to the Bhaktivedanta library. Srimad Bhagavatam's there. All books are there. Nectar of Devotions there. All sorts of books. Everything is there that's written by Srila Prabhupada, and you hear that if you don't have time. I often also find, like when you're cooking, you can always use that time to listen. So everyone for their own, but yeah, thank you so much for clarifying that point. Yes. I think it's 2048. Perhaps we should call it a day. So thank you so much again. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Swami Maharaj ki jai. Thank you again for giving me the opportunity. And of course, if I have said something that's not meant to be, my intention is not wrong. But if I've come across and hurt you in any way, then please forgive me as well. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, Mataji. Very
Thank you
insightful
for a
class.
nice call.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
वंचकल्पतरुश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय।